I want to talk to you about FundThrough. And when you think about FundThrough, of course, you are thinking about business funding, but they have a different business model that I want you to really pay attention to. Of course, we are speaking about business loans, business lines of credit. We're thinking about all kinds of, let's say, funding arrangements, but most particularly, we want to think about invoice factoring. Okay. So let me first define for you what FundThrough really stands for. So if you think about FundThrough, I want you to think about a fintech. Okay, this is an online financial services company that provides invoice factoring for businesses with outstanding customer invoices in their accounts receivable. And they also provide business loans for in specific situations. Okay, so if you need a business loan or a business line of credit, you need to reach out to FundThrough, and they will work. They will actually work through some. They will work out an arrangement for you. And so FundThrough actually was started in 2014. Okay, they actually purchased the Blue Vines invoice factoring unit in January 2022. So in the midst of COVID, they actually rebranded and they expanded they expanded with invoice factoring. So long story short, their primary business is invoice factoring, but from time to time they will get into other business funding arrangements. Okay, so basically, it primarily services small businesses in Canada and the U.S. Okay, so North America. The company itself is based in Toronto. Okay, and but the cool thing is that basically they are able to finance a diverse range of businesses. So that's really fantastic. So how does fund through invoice financing work? Let's quickly talk about that. So you have advanced amounts that go up all the way to 100% of the invoice value. You have rates going from 2.75% to 8.25%, depending on the invoice terms. Okay, and there is actually no limit to how much you can receive in terms of funding. That's really fantastic. So you have that. So invoice funding or invoice factoring is actually a business to business transaction where a company sells its unpaid invoices in exchange for a cash advance. Okay. So fund through issues up to 100% of the invoice value minus its fees. And so the funder owns the invoice and collects payment from your customer. And the fee is called the factor rate or sometimes the discount rate since the company purchases the invoice at a discount. So that's kind of important. You also have velocity invoice factoring. So FundThrough provides rapid funding with its velocity invoice factoring platform. So the streamlined AI-powered process connects directly to your accounting software for easy invoice upload. So that's really fantastic. Now, if you're interested in invoice financing or even velocity invoice factoring through FundThrough, you will actually register an account with a company, okay? And if approved, you can begin uploading your outstanding invoices and receive payments as soon as the next business day. The thing is, they have a process in place where they will check your invoices, but also your accounts receivable to make sure that those accounts receivable are legit. Okay, so FundThrough has a process whereby they connect your customers' info to Dun and Bradstreet, to Experian Business and Equifax Business to make sure that their credit profiles are pretty interesting. So what about the FundThrough invoice factoring rates? Let's talk about that. Well, the factoring rates actually fluctuate depending on the number of days. So if you have 1 to 30 days, you are looking at 2.75%. That's the factor rate. 31 to 45 days, you have 3.75%. 46 to 60 days, you have 5.5%. And more than 61 days, you have 8.25%. So basically, what kind of businesses does FundThrough work with? In other words, are you in the right niche for FundThrough to work with you? I think I've already told you that they only deal with companies in the US or Canada. Okay. One thing for sure, the company doesn't publish qualifications regarding minimum credit score, time in business, or annual revenue. because they don't really care. They care about your receivables, and they care about the quality of your receivables, really. Okay, so basically, they also want companies that invoice large businesses such as big box stores or major industry buyers, right? Because they want the accounts receivable to be of quality. Okay. Now, what about the basic eligibility requirements? Well, outstanding invoices must be at least $100,000 in annual revenue. Invoices for other businesses, so B2B or B2G, so business to government agencies. Invoice issued for finished work. No construction or real estate. They're very clear about that. And no explicit liens on the invoices that you cannot remove. So if you think about FundThrough this year, what are the industries that really they are interested in doing business in? I mean, they serve a lot of industries. Okay, I mean they're trying to diversify their economic realm as much as possible, but there are some industries that they love actually doing business in. Okay, so you have wholesale, you have small business, you have IT, you have engineering, you have manufacturing, you have apparel, you have security, you have waste management, you have automotive, you have government, you have janitorial. So that's really good. You have education providers. So that's really cool. You have agriculture. You have hospitality staffing. You have home health care. You have medical. You have commercial also, and you have all field also. So that's really good. You have export, you have transportation, you have staffing, you have freight, and you have trucking, among others. Okay, now if your industry is not on the list that I just gave, let me know in the comment section, and I'll certainly let you know whether or not your industry does qualify for funding. I have a long list of all the approved industries that FundThrough has, and so I'll just double check your industry versus my table, and I should be able to tell you whether or not your industry will qualify. But chances are, if your industry is not risky, okay, if your industry is not risky, if your industry is legit, basically you shouldn't have a problem having it financed, having your accounts receivable financed through FundThrough. Okay, and so for FundThrough, you also need to know that invoice factoring can be an expensive way to gain a business funding. Okay, however, with the company's transparent fee structure, you don't have to actually worry about, let's say, hidden fees or surprises. So that's really good. And also, the company's invoice factoring platform is actually mobile friendly. So I love that a lot. You can download the FundThrough app for convenient factoring on the go. You will have, sorry about that. You'll have to connect your business bank account when you sign up. Okay. So the company's platform connects to your business bank account to quickly analyze your financials. It also streamlines the funding process so that you can receive your money sooner. That's really cool. There are no contracts, and you don't have to factor a certain number of invoices. But it can be difficult to close your account. You must contact a funding specialist team member to actually begin the process. So if you're thinking about signing up for a fund through this year, you have a pretty straightforward process. Okay, so signing up is very easy. It's very quick also. Okay, especially if you have multiple invoices you want to factor. So first thing first, like I said a little earlier, you want to create or connect an account. So you can register your free account and sign up for a direct deposit with the company's a simple sign up form. That's really cool because it really is it's a streamlined manner. If you have QuickBooks or Open Invoice, for instance, you can connect your account for a quicker service. You must confirm some personal or business details by uploading your government ID and business formation paperwork. Okay, so that's important to really look at it from that point of view. And then you want to upload invoices. So if approved, you can begin uploading your invoices manually or pulling eligible invoices from QuickBooks or Open Invoice. So you want to select what invoices you want to factor and submit them in one click. Now, the cool thing is that there are other platforms that are starting to really ready themselves up for upload through or FundThrough. So, for instance, if you have Wave, okay, Zero also is working on a similar API, so that you can so that if you have a Zero, you can actually upload your invoices directly into a FundThrough, and you just need to get funded afterwards. So you just need to wait for 24 to 48 hours. Once your invoices are approved, the company sends the funds for invoices paid to your business bank account. Okay, so that's really good. So you get your cash right away, and so you can receive them as soon as the next business day. That's really cool. And one thing I want to say here is that the post funding process is straightforward because when FundThrough approves and funds an invoice, it owns it and collects payments from your customer. So part of the process involves FundThrough notifying your customers that it owns an invoice. That means they will know that your company is experiencing cash flow issues. Okay, so that's really important to know. And FundThrough states that it always keeps interactions positive and professional and contacts you before reaching out to your customers. So once your customer pays their invoice, your obligation is actually fulfilled. So if you think about FundThrough this year, what are the advantages of this company? Okay, why should you go with FundThrough in the first place? Well, if you have cash flow problems, FundThrough can really help you out. Okay, because you are able to convert the unpaid invoices into working capital to help smooth out cash flow gaps. I mean, if you're a business owner, chances are you are going to go through cash flow or gaps. It happens to everybody. Okay, so FundThrough provides a convenient online application as well as a simple mobile-friendly platform for invoice uploads. So that's really good. And FundThrough also provides up to 100% of the invoice amounts on advances. That's kind of cool. It publishes a transparent fee structure so you can always know the cost. So if you know the cost, that means what? It means that you are able to plan your liquidity in a streamlined manner. And there are no contracts, so you don't have to sign up for a certain number of months or factor a set of number of invoices. And because the thing is, some factoring companies require you to factor all invoices or let's say a large amount. FundThrough doesn't really want that. I mean, of course, for you to close your account, it can be difficult, but they're not really forcing you. And so the only thing is that with FundThrough, you must connect your business bank account and accounting software if available. So those technology requirements could be a challenge for some small businesses, especially if you don't have the software at all. Okay, and the service is actually a notification factoring company, meaning that it notifies your customers when it takes over ownership of the invoices. That could potentially hurt your reputation or relationship with your customers. And this is something to really think about, especially if you are going that route. So, what are the pros and cons when it comes to a FundThrough this year? One thing I want to say is that FundThrough, what I love is the fast funding. Okay, you are getting funded real fast. You don't have to wait for days or like months to actually get your cash. No, you get your cash right away. So that's really fantastic. You have the possibility to get things done, to get things started real fast. So that's really good from a flexibility point of view. That's really fantastic. Okay. And you also have a pretty streamlined upload platform, but also an online application platform. The fact that it is mobile friendly, that's even good also because, I mean, nowadays a lot of folks like to conduct business remotely and even on on their smartphone. So having the possibility to get that, it's really fantastic. And you do have a transparent fee structure. If you remember, I told you at the beginning of this show, the their transparent fee structure. So that's really good. And also you have a lender that advances up to 100% of the invoice value. Okay, they're not really, because some lenders will say, you know what, we're only advancing 75% or 25% or 50%, but FundThrough is actually advancing everything. Okay. On the flip side, just be aware that you must have at least $100,000 in unpaid invoices to qualify. Okay, in other words, and again, those have to relate to B2B or B2G transactions. If you do a B2C, business to consumer, they're not going to work with you. And also, you need to possibly have a you might have to sign up for weekly payments until invoices are paid in some cases. And also the biggie is that they notify your customers. Okay, when they take over your invoices, they notify your customers. So this is actually the big risk here. So if you think about FundThrough, okay, just to recap to this conversation, this is a legit company, okay? They've been around since 2014. And like I said at the beginning of this show, they bought over the invoice factoring business of Blue Vine in 2022, okay? So this is a legit online invoice factoring company. It is actually not accredited on a triple B, but it does have an A plus actually on Trustpilot. Okay, so this is important. And one thing I want to say also is that if FundThrough actually declines you, you just have to keep trying. Okay, you have to keep trying. One thing for sure, like I said, their service only makes sense if your company sells on credit to other businesses or government agencies. So if you have a B2C, if you have a B2C business model, you're not going to find FundThrough pretty interesting. And you also need reliable clients, typically more prominent companies. Okay, they just want to really make sure that they are taking over accounts receivable from established companies. Okay, now if you were the client, the denial letter should explain why. So you want to contact FundThrough if you need more information. Okay, if not, just apply for a regular loan. Yeah, regular loan or line of credit. Okay, and also there is another way. This is through an MCA, so a merchant cash advance. This is kind of similar to a revenue based financing. Okay, and so at least you might be lucky on that front too. I mean, they're not going to notify your customers that you're having that your company is having financial problems. So this could be a possibility for you this year if you're worried about your reputation in the industry. That's something to really think about. That you want to think about this year at least. So in conclusion to this conversation, I spoke to you about FundThrough. I explained what FundThrough really was, what they offer, the kind of industries they're in, how to sign up for FundThrough this year, what are the pros and cons of this business model. Thank you so much. God bless you. I will see you next time. Until then, remember, stay marvelous.